Well, this is Spain, this is Jarama, 1 week after the GT Championship round we brought you. This is the opening round of the Spanish Touring Car Championship, and the Alfa Romeo 155s have dominated German, Italian and British Touring Car Championships this year. Can they do the same here at the Madrid Grand Prix circuit? Adrian Campos and Luis Villamil on the front row, Alan Ferte BMW, Antonio Albuquerque Vauxhall on row 2, and the two Mondeos of Jesus Pereira and Carlos Palo on row 3. But a big surprise in qualifying is that 93 champion Luis Perez Sala, who won in the Nissan Skyline when the championship was Class 1 last year, went off on the first lap of qualifying, put the car in the sand, there he is, and did not get a time in the Jan Speed built Repsol Nissan Primera. Starting from the back row of the grid then, this is the first ever Class 2 race here in Spain. Luis Villamil gets a good start. He's on the right hand side there in front of his teammate Campos, Alan Ferte, Albuquerque, as they pour down to the first corner, this long straight at Jarama. Through they go, but behind them is a locking up, and Andrescu hits Guabaru. Carlos Paulo is hit as well, and Paulo will be out with broken front suspension on the first corner of the race. Well, the two Alphas immediately go out ahead, just as they did in Italy, just as they did in Britain, and just as they did at Zolder in Germany. Ferte behind, Albuquerque behind, and after one lap, these four cars have pulled out a big gap over Barrios, Pereira and Bassas. Four leading cars incredibly close now. You'll notice there are some Class 1 cars mixed up in this to make numbers up this year in the championship, but they're given such a penalty that Class 2, as the FI wishes, is reigning supreme. So it's Villamil from Campos still, then Ferte, then Albuquerque. Just 1 second covering the top 6 cars in qualifying. There's Luis Perez Sala in the Nissan Primera. He's coming back with a vengeance. Going out with a vengeance, I think. Josep Arque in his Opel Vectra. Door flapping in the breeze, making it doubly wide for Sala to pass. Sala does eventually go through though. There he goes through. Now up into 5th place. Opel was caught in that start line accident. Surprisingly hasn't been black flagged. Well, the two Alphas continue to increase their lead. Ferte still just about in touch, but Albuquerque falling back behind. Antonio Albuquerque in the British ex-John Cleland Vauxhall Cavalier, Opel Vectra here of course. But for Villamil, no problem at all. Villamil, Campos, Ferte, Albuquerque and Sala now in a firm 5th place. What a great drive from the back of the grid. Rafael Barrios in the Escort Cosworth in the Class 1 car, and Josep Bassas in the BMW M3 behind him in 7th place. So situation normal as far as Alfa Romeo is concerned, except these cars have the standard 155 Silverstone rear wing, not the hiked up rear wings that have caused so much controversy in the British Championship, and as I told you earlier, as from today are banned in Britain. German Touring Car Championship says they can keep them this year if they want, but of course there's no Alphas running there. That's the Class 2 Championship that starts at Arbus this Sunday. Well, out goes Andrescu. He's in the sand. Villamil, no problems, cruising to a rather processional victory in front of his teammate Adrian Campos. A 1-2 for Alfa Romeo as they take the checkered flag here at Jarama. Ferte finishes 3rd, 8 seconds behind. Albuquerque 4th, 17 seconds behind. And Luis Perez Sala is 5th for Nissan. The opening Class 2 race in Spain. More cars expected for the next race, which is this Sunday at Albuquerque. Well, Alfa Romeo was back on form at Nürburgring at the weekend in the German Touring Car Championship, We just saw in Snetterton, they're still on form in the British Series. This is the Spanish Series. Alfa Romeos have already won the first race of the series, which took place at Jarama. This is the second round at Albacete last week. Front row of the grid. The Alphas of Luis Villamil, Adrian Campos, Luis Perez Sala in the Janspeed Nissan, and Alain Ferte in the BMW. Then Albacete and the two Ford Mondeos of Carlos Palau and Jesus Pereira into the first corner here at Albacete in front of a big crowd on a sunny Spanish Sunday afternoon. And it's Adrian Campos takes the lead from his teammate Luis Villamil, Alain Ferte's BMW, Perez Sala in the Repsol Nissan, but pushing inside him at that corner is Antonio Albacete in the ex-John Cleland Vauxhall Cavalier, now named Opel Vectra, of course, because that's how they're sold here in Spain. There's Campos, Adrian Campos, man who raced Formula 2, Formula 3000, briefly touched Formula 1. These cars prepared by Alfa Corsa, run by mechanics from Alfa Corsa, helped by local team men. Battle going on behind Carlos Palau. That is Gianni Guiducci. This is Carlos Bassas. A number of Group N cars, as these you see here, running in the championship. Not the Fords, of course. The Fords are full Group A, as Bassas is pushed off very rudely by Jesus Pereira. See it again in slow motion. Pereira, the man who finished second at Daytona 24 Hours and has won the first two rounds of the International GT Championship driving for Porsche. This is what he does at home on Sunday afternoons in Spain. Gianni Guiducci leading the battle for the Group N tourism class. His battle going on with Rafael Barrios in the Escort. Well, this is going back to the battle for fourth place behind Ferte, still between Albacete, racing at Albacete, and Luis Perez Sala, the 1993 Spanish touring car champion for Nissan, in the Skyline, now in the Janspeed built Nissan Primera 2-litre GT. And a great battle raging around the circuit here. Albacete very much at home, and through goes Perez Sala to take the place. Takes the inside line. We see it from a different angle in slow motion. Beautiful piece of driving. Both these men extremely experienced. And what a change from the British touring car destruction derby we've just seen. Well, someone's blown up there in a big way. That was Josep Arquet. As into the pits comes Alain Ferte. Ferte out of the race, which means the Nissan's now into third behind these two cars, but what a big gap. So that is Campos, Villamil. Then here comes Perez Sala, and behind him Albacete. So it's Alfa, Nissan and Opel. Bringing up the best of the rest, Carlos Palau in the Ford Mondeo, having his own battle here. Oh, and almost straight on for Jesus Pereira. Locks everything up in the Mondeo. Strangely off form this weekend on this circuit, these two cars. Trying to get past Antonio Albacete, just brake too hard, he won't pass. So victory is going to go to Campos from Villamil, reversing the Jarama result. Both lead the championship with one victory and one second place apiece, equal points, 35 each. Perez Sala third on 20 points, and Antonio Albacete also third on 20 points in the Opel Vectra GT. Alain Ferte just 12 points after his third place in Jarama, but a non-finish here in Albacete. Next round of the championship, Calafat, this Sunday. We'll be there. Welcome back to Motors on Eurosport. This is round 3 of the Spanish Touring Car Championship. First two rounds won by Alfa with 1-2s for Villamil and Campos and Villamil. Alfa Romeo on the front row of the grid in both those races, but not this one at Calafat. Alfa has been beaten in qualifying by the Nissan Primera of Luis Perez Sala. This is the Janspeed built car, identical to the British touring car racers. He's on pole in front of Villamil in the Alpha. Alain Ferté in the BMW and Adrian Campos in the second of the Alphas. The first 7 cars on the grid covered by only 1 second, but Ferté takes the lead in front of Perez Sala and the 2 Alphas as they start the first lap. And before the end of lap 1, Albocetti is already attacking in the Opel Vectra, the ex-John Cleland British touring car Vauxhall, for 4th place. Alain Ferté in the BMW, then the Nissan, then the Alphas and the Opel Vauxhall barging each other there as they come around the circuit. He gets pushed back. There is nothing at the moment Albocetti can do. He was rudely told by Campos where to put his car. So Albocetti, I think, coming up for another attack now. Antonio Albocetti. But the Nissan is forced to go wide by Villamil, so Luis Villamil takes the Alpha through, we see it again here, into 2nd place behind Alain Ferté. So the Repsol Nissan now in 3rd, but the Opel Vectra is through, he's gone through, and right behind him the Mondeo of Jesus Pereira is now attacking Campos all around the circuit. 2 Ford Mondeos running together, Jesus Pereira and Carlos Palau. These are the Andy Rouse built cars, but there's a problem there, as you can see, for Campos. There's a lot of smoke coming from the back of his Alfa 155, and just look at the size of the rear wings on these cars. A lot of contention at the moment, but the FI this week has announced that there will be free wings for next year, provided they fit inside a 15 centimetre by 15 centimetre box. Class 2 touring car racing will become FI Super Touring, and the homologation will go up to 25,000 cars instead of this year's 2,500, but the wings, front and rear, will be free provided they fit inside those boxes. Well, out of the race is Albocetti with brake problems, having taken 4th place. He will rejoin 7 laps later. There's a second class in the CET, the Campeonato de España de Turismos, which is the touring car class, and here's Ford Escort Cosworth of Rafael Barrios, championship leader of that class, only 3rd at Calafat. Ricardo Garcia Galliano is leading the touring car class here in the number 34 Ford Escort Cosworth. Well, Ferté takes that victory in front of Villamil, in front of Perez Sala and Campos. So it is BMW, Alfa and Nissan 1, 2, 3 with 4th place. Going to Campos ahead of Pereira and Palau. But this time it's touring cars. This is the circuit of Albocetti, not that far from Barcelona inland. Round 4 in the CET, the Campeonato España Turismo. Well, Alain Ferté in the BMW, the Calafat winner, on pole position ahead of Adrian Campos' Alfa Romeo. Luis Perez Sala, again we see 3rd in qualifying. Luis Villamil, the championship leader. 4th on the 3rd row, Carlos Paulo in the fastest of the 4 Mondeos. Alongside him, Albocetti, Antonio Albocetti in the Opel Vectra, then Arce in the Opel, and Jesus Pereira in the Ford. Well, at the start, Campos takes the lead immediately in front of Ferté, gets the jump on the BMW, the Alfa 155, coming in right there, and Villamil right behind him as well as they go through the first corner. A lot of pushing and shoving. They all get through safely though. So it's Campos, Ferté, Perez Sala in the Nissan, Villamil, Alfa Romeo, BMW, Nissan Primera. This is the Nissan Primera prepared by Jan Speed Racing, identical in trim to the British Touring Car Championship cars, and Sala just looking for improvement on 3rd places. Pereira is out, the popular Spanish driver, walking home after an incident with Gianni Giudicci's Alfa, which has put them both out of the race. And on lap 2, Adrian Campos goes wide, he goes wider and wider, he's off the track. Ferté almost goes off too, locks up to go behind him. There's oil on the track there, off he goes, and he is followed by Sala, Perez Sala, but who gets back on the circuit. Let's hit in slow motion. Ferte locks up, trying not to hit the Alpha, also trying to stay on the track. He's on the grass as well. But Campos firmly stuck in the gravel, and he'll stay there for the rest of the day. Well, lap 4. It's Ferte from Jose Arque, Antonio Alberchetti, Riccardo Gaglioni, and Luis Perez Sala now coming back, fighting for 4th place. Alberchetti takes 2nd place from his teammate Arque. Joseph Arque there. These 2 Opel Vectras really working hard around here as Gaglioni keeps off the Nissan driver just at the moment, but Sala on a charge. The Escort Cosworth running in basically Group N trim in the other class of the series. They have the FI Class 2 and they have the touring car class. So through goes Sala. He takes Riccardo Galliano's place from him, but Galliano leading the touring car class as Sala moves up yet again. He takes 4th place from Gaglioni, now he takes 3rd from Josep Arque. But a problem for Josep Bassas. He retired on lap 10. The engine just died on him. He is out of the race. And at 2/3 distance, it is Villamil, who made a very bad start, fighting Barrios for 6th place. Villamil will eventually take that 6th place away as Alain Ferte heads for his 2nd victory in a row in front of Antonio Alberchetti and Luis Perez Sala. 6th place is resolved by Luis Villamil in the Alfa Romeo 155. But Ferte really on a flyer now. Calafat and now Alberchetti. Ferte takes his 2nd victory. Alberchetti, the driver, finishes 2nd. Perez Sala, Josep Arque, and Luis Villamil completing the points for the championship. Villamil for Alfa 58, Ferte 52 for BMW, Campos 45 for Alfa, and Perez Sala 44 points in 4th place for Repsol Nissan. From Indonesia to Spain, round 5 of the Spanish Super Touring Car Championship at Barcelona on the Circuit Catalunya. 2 Alfa Romeos dominating the last 2 races are still in good form. Adrian Campos is on pole in front of Luis Villamil. Behind them, Luis Perez Sala in the Repsol Nissan, Carlos Paulo in the Ford, Alain Ferte in the BMW, and Josep Arque in the Opel Vectra. Well, it's a new start procedure here for this round, a rolling start. And right from the start, it's Campos from Villamil, who takes the lead from Perez Sala from Paulo in the Ford Mondeo. Then Josep Arque, having just passed Ferte, Jesus Perez in the other of the Mondeos, and Antonio Alberchetti in the other of the Opel Vectras. Paulo takes 2nd place. 3rd place, rather, from Perez Sala, but Perez Sala starts to fight back again. Takes it back again. Then again, Paulo goes through on the inside. But the Nissan driver's not going to give up, and he starts attacking again. So it's Alfa out front, then Ford and Nissan fighting out 3rd place. The Alfa 155 starting to pull away already, just as they do in Britain. Campos from Villamil, and then Perez Sala attacks the Ford again. Through he goes, back into 3rd place on the inside, here at the bottom end of the circuit at Barcelona. Perez Sala, the 1993 champion. This championship all now Class 2 racing. Great racing as well, as you can see. Still behind them, Arca. But no, Perez Sala goes out. His brakes lock up. He goes off into the gravel bed. His race is over. Out for the day. Problem also for Jesus Pereira. He's out as well, stuck firmly in the sand, which means that Campos now has a 4-second lead in front of Villamil, who in turn is 8 seconds in front of Carlos Paulo in the Ford Mondeo, Josep Arc in the Opel Vectra GT, and Alain Ferte in the BMW. The BMWs at this point have not yet got the wing packages or the weight reduction that the other championships now have. This race was just 2 days before the July 1st homologation changes. Well, Arc driving a great race. Normally we've seen Alberchetti in front of him, but Arc now is the man ahead. He's in 3rd place in front of Paulo and Ferte now, and Ferte and Paulo, great battle side by side. But it all goes wrong for Ferte. He's got problems. Pulls into the pits with mechanical troubles, looking underneath the car, which means that Arque is now firmly in 3rd place behind Campos and Villamil, with his teammate Antonio Alberchetti right behind him. Paulo though now attacking again, and Paulo goes wide. This is Alberchetti's chance to take back that 4th place, which he does in style, pushing Carlos Paulo in the Ford Mondeo prepared by Andy Rouse Engineering back into 5th place. Well, Bassas is out. Josep Bassas, who's been leading last year's Class 1 series, which means that Galliano will take over. Ricardo Galliano in his Ford Escort Cosworth. He will win the touring car class and take the championship lead, equal with Barrios, who finished 2nd here in Catalonia. Well, Campos takes the victory. Overall, 3 seconds ahead of his teammate Villamil. The 3rd 1-2 for Alfa Romeo this year. Josep Arque finishes 3rd, Antonio Alberchetti 4th, and Carlos Paulo is confirmed in 5th place of the championship now. Villamil 73, Campos 65, and Ferte 3rd on 52 points.
As we move to the south of Spain, to the Jerez circuit, the Sherry region of Spain, and take a look at the latest round 6 of the Spanish Touring Car Championship. Pole position to Adrian Campos in the Alfa Romeo, former winner earlier in the season. Alfa started off this Spanish Championship in dominant form, much as they have done elsewhere, but alongside him, Alain Ferte in the BMW has taken a couple of wins also this year. So the battle once again between Alfa and BMW, pretty much as we saw at Silverstone in the British Touring Car Championship. Well, round they come then with Luis Perez Sala 3rd on the grid, and Luis Villamil, the series leader, 4th on the grid on the 2nd row there. As the lights change to green, it's a rolling start in the Spanish series. They've only just introduced this form of start, and who's it going to be into the first corner? It's Adrian Campos who leads ahead of Alain Ferte in 2nd place. Luis Perez Sala there in 3rd. Oh, Villamil squeezed out a little bit in the red Alfa. He's squeezed out by the Mondeo there of Carlos Palau and by Antonio Alberchetti as well. So Villamil really has dropped down the order there and has an awful lot of work to do to get back up to his teammate Adrian Campos, who is leading Alain Ferte. These two beginning to pull away a little bit from the Nissan in 3rd place of Luis Perez Sala. Across the line they go with Carlos Palau still in 4th position and Antonio Alberchetti in 5th place, right behind. Oh, on the grass, Alain Ferte takes it a little too wide in the BMW. That's going to put him under pressure for that 2nd place from Luis Perez Sala, but I don't think Sala's quite close enough, and indeed Alain Ferte continues to hold on to that 2nd place. There is Carlos Palau in the Mondeo for the first time this year. Remember, the Spanish Touring Car Championship switching to 2-litre touring cars for the first time this year, but they do have a class within the championship for the sort of cars that they were running last year, like the Escort Cosworths, etc. Oh, that's Villamil running wide as we move on through the race. Luis Villamil not having a good day, the championship leader nearly running completely out of track there. Adrian Campos, though, continuing to lead Alain Ferte, and these two really have extended their lead over the rest of the opposition. Oh, but Campos has locked up. He's locked up and gone off at the last corner before they come round onto the start-finish straight. They're about halfway through the race, but he's gone off into the gravel, and he's not going to get it back out of there. Well, what a mistake from Adrian Campos. He wasn't under that much pressure either from Alain Ferte. The pressure had been fairly consistent, but he'd opened up a gap, but he throws it all away by just locking the brakes and not getting off the brakes. He just goes shooting straight into the gravel trap, and perhaps ruining the fact that they can't run ABS in the Spanish Touring Car Championship, unlike in the German Touring Car Series. Well, Alain Ferte handed the lead with the battle for second now here between Luis Perez Sala and Carlos Palau, and here is the leader in the touring class. As I mentioned, they still have the second class in this. This is Rafael Barrios leading in the Escort Cosworth. But Alain Ferte still concentrating on continuing to extend the lead a little bit. Doesn't want to make the same sort of mistake that we saw Adrian Campos make. And Ferte looking to try and take his third victory of the season in the Spanish Touring Car Championship. It looks as though that win's coming his way. Lights are flashing. The checkered flag is ready. And Alain Ferte takes a win at number 3 in the series. Second place then for Luis Perez Sala, Carlos Palau in third place. And that's the first podium finish for the Ford team in 1994. Carlos Palau taking that position. Villamil coming through in the end in a 5th position after that earlier indiscretion, and well, that allows Villamil to continue to hold the lead in the championship. But Alfa Romeo really have got the pressure on them now from Alain Ferte, who we see here again crossing the line to take the checkered flag. From Italy to Spain and the Spanish touring car round from Catalonia. The battle on between the Alfa Romeos, the Nissan and the Ford Mondeos, and also the Opels as well. The Opel Vectras, known to us as Vauxhall Cavaliers, of course. There's really no difference except in name when you get to the 2-litre touring car championships around Europe. Remember, the Spanish touring car championship, 2 classes in fact for the 2-litre cars, just as in Britain, and also for the touring car class for more standard, more like Group N cars as well. So let's get ready for this round 7 to begin with from the front row, it's Adrian Campos who takes the early lead in the Alfa Romeo. So Campos it is who leads. Perez Sala trying to get second position, but Luis Villamil challenging him for that second place. Villamil in the other of the Alfa Romeos, down towards the first corner, side by side between Villamil and Perez Sala. But yes, it is Villamil who just sneaks through into second place, with Luis Perez Sala down to 3rd position. Then it's Carlos Palau in 4th position in the Ford Mondeo. And if you look at those Mondeos, you see that in Spain they are allowed to run with the wings front and rear. So boot-lid wing for the Ford Mondeo, which certainly helps the downforce and the grip and improves the speed. Next year in the British Series, we'll also be seeing the Ford Mondeos with that. Well, change for second place. Luis Perez Sala moves up into second place in the Nissan, but Adrian Campos by now has got quite a good lead, and Carlos Palau's trying to take 3rd place away from Luis Villamil. Oh, he's got on the dirt and he's gone it a little bit sideways, but he's managed to keep it all together. So a good recovery, and in fact that's allowed Antonio Albacete in the Opel Vectra to try and get past Luis Villamil as well. Well, up front, Adrian Campos really looking very comfortable. He's not involved in any of this fighting that's delaying everyone else. Look at this, we've got about 4 cars all trying to get into a corner side by side, as Campos still ahead of Perez Sala. Palau now in a clear 3rd place, Villamil down to 4th, and Albacete challenging Villamil for that 4th place. Well, Alfa started the year very well in Spain, as they have done around the rest of Europe really, but question is, are they still going to be able to try and take the title here in Spain this year? Certainly Villamil and Campos, it looks very likely that Alfa will be taking the title, because they have quite an extensive lead in the championship, and it's really going to be between those two as to who takes the championship at the end of the day. Well, further back in the touring car class, the BMW of Josep Bassas is the lead car, and in fact he's running pretty well overall as well. Back towards the leaders then, and Perez Sala still chasing after Adrian Campos, remember. Palau in 3rd position in the Ford Mondeo. Then in fourth place, Antonio Albacetti, just running a little wide there, and in his attempt to get away from Louis Villamil. Remember, Villamil is actually a few points ahead of Adrian Campos in the championship, so this is really playing into Adrian Campos' hands. He really needs the win here if he's to take the title himself for Alfa Romeo, and Louis Villamil will be looking to deter that. Oh, well, there's problems there for Alain Ferte, former winner in the Spanish Touring Car Championship this year, not having such a good run here at Catalunya. Well, let's see what happens. There's certainly a big battle going on between Alain Ferte. Oh, there's contact, in fact, between the two cars. That's Arke in the other of the Opel Vectras, and they've both gone off in a fairly big way through that section just after the start-finish straight. Alain Ferte off in the BMW, and the man who still had a chance of taking the title away from Alfa Romeo, well, that really does make things very strong indeed for the Alfa team. Villamil off as well, so Louis Villamil, and that's Antonio Albacetti that's gone off with him. So it's all changed around. Louis Villamil off in the second of the two Alfas when he was running pretty strongly, and Albacetti's car also well entrenched into the sand. So up front it's Adrian Campos, and Luis Perez Sala has managed to close up a little bit, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough for him. No, it's not. Adrian Campos takes victory ahead of Luis Perez Sala in second, Carlos Palau third, Jesus Pereira in fourth in the second of the Mondeos, and Josep Bassas taking that touring car victory in the touring car class. And in the points now, Villamil just enjoys a 4-point advantage over Campos, and the battle is on between the Alfa Romeos for the Spanish touring car title. Let's go circuit racing now. We go to Jarama in Spain for the penultimate round of the Spanish Touring Car Championship, the only two Touring Car Championship that is yet to be decided, and with a couple of races in November, it means that we can all enjoy some more 2-litre touring car action as the cold weather begins to set in everywhere else in Europe. There's a few guest cars here this time being invited along. Eric van der Poel in the Nissan Primera, Gabriele Tarquini, the British champions, here in his Alfa Romeo 155. We've also got Fabien Giroir and Jordi Genet, the Formula 3000 driver. They're both out in CETs, the cars normally raced in the French Touring Car Series. Also, Pancho Egoscu and Jorge Pettis are additional runners in BMWs. Well, Gabriele Tarquini really here to try and help Alfa Romeo take the title. The battle in the championship in Spain is on between Adrian Campos and Louis Villamil for Alfa Romeo, and Alain Ferte of BMW. So Tarquini is going to be doing his best to keep up the honours for Alfa Romeo. Well, there was almost a jump start for Luis Perez Sala there. They've usually been having rolling starts this year, but on this occasion deciding to go for a standing start, and Perez Sala very nearly being caught out as they all head down towards the first corner, and Tarquini leading it. Oh, and there's a bit of a mishap in the middle of the field there. Several cars come together. Guru Villasieros, the former Spanish champion, is one of those cars off. So is Luis Perez Sala. Well, right in the middle of the pack there, lots of smoke. Antonio Albacetti in the Central Hispano-sponsored Opel Vectra was certainly one of the cars involved in that incident. Clouds of smoke. Let's go on board with Albacetti. Here he is, hitting the back of Villasieros' car, going into that first corner, and cars going off all over the place. Look at the smoke coming out of the air inlets there for Albacetti. Well, it means that Tarquini has managed to open up a little bit of a lead from Eric van der Poel in second place. We've got Adrian Campos in third position, and right behind him, the man challenging him in the title race is Louis Villamil. Well, Carlos Palau, the man who performed very well in the World Cup at Donington Park on his first visit to that circuit, well, he goes out of the race very early on. That's a great shame to lose him in the Ford Mondeo. But up front, Tarquini, as we go on board with him, is really showing the Spanish regulars how to go touring car racing. Gianni Gudici is another visitor to Spain this weekend, a man who normally races in the German Touring Car Championship, and he had fairly obvious problems with his Alfa Romeo. Back up front again with Tarquini. He's now got a lead of virtually 10 seconds. Such is his domination around the Jarama circuit. Eric van der Poel is there in second place in the Nissan Primera. Better performance from van der Poel here in Spain than we saw when he was racing the British Championship. And meanwhile, the battle for third is still going on between Adrian Campos an ex-Grand Prix driver, and Luis Villamil, experienced Spanish touring car driver. And here are the two CETs trying to work their way up. They're just behind, lying in 4th and 5th places, with Fabien Giroir catching up to the Alphas ahead. And as we go on to another lap, it is in fact Fabien Giroir beginning to put Villamil under pressure for that 3rd position, or 4th position at the moment, but it could be 3rd as well if he can get ahead of the other car of Adrian Campos. He's certainly looking very quick. He goes up into that 4th position, gets past Villamil, and Jordi Yannet is not far behind as well in the 2nd of the CETs. Well, the CETs going very much better here in Spain than they have done in the French Super Touring category throughout the year, and Giroir is now really beginning to attack Adrian Campos. Campos will be perhaps being a little careful with the championship at stake, and in fact that was a nice manoeuvre from Fabien Giroir. He dived down the inside late on the brakes and really placed his car in position before Campos could turn in. Let's watch it again. Look how he gets right down on the inside, locks the wheel slightly under braking, but Campos was not going to be overly aggressive in defending his position. More important for him to actually finish the event. Well, more battles going on further back between Josep Arqué in the Opel Vectra on the left and Alain Ferte, the man with a chance still in the championship battle in the BMW, trying to fight away past. He dives down the inside, same place, and he squeezes through as well. So Alain Ferte does indeed get past the Opel Vectra. Again, just locking the brakes slightly on the inside. It's a bit dusty on the inside there as well. Looks like somebody's put some oil down. And Ferte just running a touch wide on the exit to show Arqué that he intended to hold on to that position. Well, in the final few laps, Jordi Yannet has now caught these two Alfa Romeos of Campos and Villamil. And Yannet in his first ever touring car race. It's a great effort, and he was certainly staying with Fabien Giroir very well in the early stages. Now finding it a bit harder to fight away past the Alfa Romeos quite so easily. But nevertheless, he's giving it a good stir. Well, Gabriele Tarquini up front, and in fact he takes the victory, 22 seconds ahead of Eric van der Poel in 2nd place, and 29 seconds ahead of Fabien Giroir. It's 3 non-Spanish drivers finishing in the top 3 places. Good result for Gabriele Tarquini in his first visit. Next year, remember, he's going to be racing in the French Touring Car Championship. Adrian Campos finishes in 4th place, Luis Villamil 5th, Jordi Yannet in 6th, and Alain Ferte in 7th. It means in the championship, Campos now has 120 points to Alain Ferte's 107, with one more round to go in Jerez. And you'll be able to see it here on Eurosport. Welcome back to Motors as we turn our attention now to Spanish touring cars and the very final round of the series from Jerez in southern Spain, south of Seville and the Sherry country. Well, making an appearance for this particular last round of the championship is a newcomer to the series to a certain extent. He's only raced in 1 race this year so far, and that's Juan Ignacio Villasieros, the man who's formerly won the Spanish Touring Car Championship and is here this weekend in trying to help Alain Ferte in the BMW take the title in the last gasp from Adrian Campos in the Alfa. Well, for the 2nd race in a row, Gabriele Tarquini is also in the race in his attempts to help Alfa Romeo take the title, and it's Tarquini and Villasieros who set off at the front of the field as they go off on the first lap. Tarquini trying to go around the outside of Villasieros through the first corner, but Villasieros has a better line into the 2nd corner and Tarquini has to slot into 2nd position. Further back, Jesus Pereira is trying to work his Ford Mondeo up through the order, and Adrian Campos hasn't made a brilliant start. He's down in about 6th position at the moment. Main thing that Campos has to do is to try and beat Alain Ferte. In fact, even if he finished sort of 1 place behind Alain Ferte, it would be enough for him to take his first ever championship in any form of racing. Well, Luis Villamil in the Alfa fighting away past Alain Ferte there, and Villamil also doing a job of defending Adrian Campos. So Alain Ferte's got his work cut out. He's taken 3 wins so far this year in the Spanish Touring Car Championship. Same number of wins as Adrian Campos, but Campos with an advantage of 13 points as they go into this final round. There's Tarquini, and Tarquini is finding it fairly hard work to try and challenge Kuru Villasieros, leading this race at the moment. Luis Perez Salas holding on to 3rd position, but there's problems for the 2nd of the Opel Vectras. That's Josep Arqué retiring coming into the pits. Well, this is an impressive performance from Kuru Villasieros, not having competed regularly this season and yet managing to match the pace of the British Touring Car Champion of the Year, and Tarquini certainly finding his work cut out to stay on the same pace as the BMW. Antonio Albacetti is holding on to 4th place. Carlos Palau is in 5th place. And then the battle is going on just behind them between Campos, Villamil and Ferte. And at the moment, Villamil, in the second of the 2 Alphas there, is doing an excellent job of defending Adrian Campos from attack from Alain Ferte in the white BMW. Oh, and there's problems there for Luis Perez Sala. The 1993 champion is pulling off the track. Problems for his Nissan Primera. And that means that he's not going to be able to finish in that 3rd place that he was holding on to there. Well, Balathieros has certainly pulled out quite a lead over Tarquini, and for all his attempts, it doesn't look as though the Formula 1 ex-driver is going to be able to take the victory in this, his 2nd visit to the Spanish Touring Car Championship this year. More problems for Alex Villanueva in the number 29 car. His engine has expired in a big way, and we'll just take another look there as his engine went, and in fact it locked up the rear wheels as it seized there, and he nearly had a bit of an accident as the engine blew up. So coming round to take the checkered flag then, Kura Balathieros taking the win from Gabriele Tarquini in 2nd position. Excellent result for Balathieros, who's hoping to come back into a full program of Spanish touring car racing in 1995, and with a result like that, surely some of the top teams will be after him. Tarquini saying afterwards that he was simply outpaced on this occasion, couldn't do anything about it. Adrian Campos, however, doing enough to take the championship. He finishes in 5th position, just ahead of Louis Villamil and Alain Ferte. They're 38 seconds down from winner Balathieros, but it's enough for Campos, and he is delighted to take his first ever championship victory, and was very grateful to Fiat and Alfa Romeo after the race. 17 points his advantage at the end of the day. Adrian Campos, he is the new Spanish touring car champion.